Several demonstrations are being held around the world to condemn the interception of the Global Sumud Flotilla vessels by Israeli forces. On Thursday, the United States will lose nearly $15 billion per week of its gross domestic product due to federal government shutdown. And on Thursday, France faces another day of nationwide protest against budget cuts and the government's austerity measures. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Global Sumud Flotilla carrying humanitarian aid to Gaza was subjected to intimidation, interception, illegal boarding by Israeli military forces. Israeli naval occupation forces detained several vessels from the flotilla in international waters where Israel has no jurisdiction, just as it has no jurisdiction over the waters and shoreline of Gaza. 443 crew members have been kidnapped and denied access to their lawyers and legal counsel. In their latest update, the flotilla organizers reported that the Mykonos vessel may have entered Palestinian territorial waters but remains out of contact. Meanwhile, the Marinette vessel remains in contact, carrying 6 passengers on board. And in light of these events, flotilla members have accused Israel of committing a war crime and called for international mobilization. In an official statement, the flotilla has urged governments and international organizations to intervene and ensure the safety of the detained crew members, demanding their immediate release. Flotilla organizers explained that the Israeli Defense Forces formed a chain in waters where they have no jurisdiction, further highlighting the illegal blockade imposed on the Gaza Strip. Furthermore, members are informed that Zionist forces attacked unarmed civilians using water cannons, skunk water, and systematically blocking ship communications. In this scenario, climate activist Greta Thunberg, who was on board of one of the flotilla vessels, released a previously recorded video confirming her abduction by Israeli forces.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law. Please tell my government to demand my and the others' immediate release.
In this context, thousands are demonstrating on Thursday across several cities, Spanish citizens, against the interception of the Global Sumud Flotilla by Israeli forces and in solidarity with Palestine. In Barcelona, over 6,000 students marched from the Universitat Square in response to the call issued by the local student union, chanting slogans denouncing Europe's complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Demonstrators have urged the population to join the action and not remain silent to the plea of Palestinians. At the same time, some 4,000 students, mostly from high school and university, marched towards Puerta del Sol in the capital, Madrid, to protest the arrest of the flotilla activists. The action is reportedly being echoed in over 40 Spanish cities, including Oviedo, Bilbao, and Tenerife, among others. Through a statement, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghaei vehemently denounced the Israeli regime's aggression against the international Global Sumud Flotilla, and he said the atrocity represented a blatant violation of international law and an act of terrorism. Baghaei also praised the humanitarian efforts of the flotilla's activists and grassroots groups that hailed from various countries, saying they had stood in solidarity with the Palestinian people and sought to break the cruel blockade. For his part, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also condemned Israel's interception of the humanitarian flotilla, calling it a banditry that again exposes Tel Aviv's crimes in the world.
I condemn the banditry targeting the Global Sumud Flotilla, which set out to bring attention to the barbarity in Gaza, where children are starving, and to bring humanitarian aid to the oppressed Palestinians. The Sumud Flotilla has once again made the brutality in Gaza and the massacring face of Israel visible to the whole world.
Palestinians remain deeply skeptical of U.S. President Donald Trump recently unveiled 20-point Gaza peace proposal, viewing Washington's role as lacking credibility after decades of failed promises and biased policies favoring Israel. Widespread distrust lingers over the Trump administration's consistency, with Gaza civilians wary from unending violence and suffering under an oppressive siege that no diplomatic initiative has yet alleviated. The proposal is widely seen as benefiting Israeli security priorities while sidelining Palestinian sovereignty and justice. Palestinians called for an end to the siege and recognition of the right to self-determination above any superficial ceasefire agreements that fail to address the root causes of their oppression. Critics called the proposal an ultimatum rather than a genuine peace offer.
This is entirely a conspiracy by the United States against the Palestinian people. Now the negotiators no longer consider the interests of the Palestinian people. This plan is essentially Netanyahu's conception. Ultimately, they only care about seizing what they want and inflict more blows to the Palestinian people. Ever since Trump started his term in office, he has claimed that his plans are to bring peace and a ceasefire to Gaza. But so far, those plans we have seen had no credibility at all. They were just false promises with zero substance. Frankly speaking, there have been no word of truth delivered in his plans. What we have seen are completely the opposite.
Coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We go to the United States. The country will lose nearly $15 billion per week of its gross domestic product due to federal government shutdown. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is organizing massive layoffs of workers and political revenge against his opponents. The figure appears in an internal memorandum from the White House Council of Economic Advisors, which also warned that the extended shutdown could threaten even more economic growth, employment, and the stability of social programs. Sectors of the opposition asserted that President Trump is not concerned about the serious predictions of his own advisors, as he enjoys planning the layoffs of thousands of workers and plotting new punishments against his political opponents. And the director of the Latin American Department of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Alexander Shchetinin, made a formal call to respect the Panama Canal Neutrality Treaty in light of recent threats by the United States to regain control of the interoceanic waterway. The diplomat highlighted Moscow's position of upholding the current international legal regime of the canal, which is in Panamanian hands, considering it a guarantee of its efficiency and profitability for world trade. He also recalled that Russian foreign policy is based on respect for international law and the historic Torrijos-Carter treaties of 1977. Shchetinin also criticized the deployment of U.S. naval and air forces in the southern Caribbean and reiterated that Russia considers Latin America a friendly region and a partner that shares its values of sovereignty and non-intervention in internal affairs. In other topics, the Venezuelan Foreign Ministry is holding a conference in Caracas on October 2nd and 3rd to analyze imperial colonization. The ministry announced that the event will address new forms of domination and colonization processes, the international conference Colonialism, Neocolonialism and the Territorial Dispossession of Western Imperialism brings together authorities and experts in the study of imperial colonization in Caracas. The meeting seeks to highlight the need to compensate the peoples who were victims and offers an in-depth and decolonizing look at an outstanding debt and a wound that remains open. And in Peru, the Minister of Justice and Human Rights, José Luis Santibáñez, presented his resignation just 6 weeks after taking office, and 2 days before the parliament was due to discuss a motion of no confidence against him. The minister's appointment had caused controversy, especially after his dismissal as Minister of the Interior due to a parliamentary censure. In his first days at charge, the prosecutor's office launched an investigation into his alleged links to a criminal organization, and searches were conducted at his home and office. In addition, audio recordings were made public in which Santibáñez discussed improving prison conditions for a convicted former police officer, which sparked criticisms of his suitability as minister. And in Argentina, Milei's cabinet takes a heavy blow with the indictment of legislator José Luis Espert for receiving economic favors and having ties to drug trafficking. Espert, a close ally of the president, is accused of maintaining relations with Fred Machado, a convicted drug trafficker in Argentina. According to various sources, evidence was presented of Espert's use of the criminal's private plane and bulletproof cars for his election campaign travel. And in this context, 3.5 weeks before the legislative elections, Milei is in an internal dilemma about whether to remove Espert from the candidacy or defend him against the alleged charges. And we go to Ecuador now. Leaders from 15 universities and social movements made an urgent call to reduce violence and find peaceful solutions to the protest against the government. Social tensions in Ecuador have increased during the last 10 days of protest against the measures of Daniel Noboa. Violence against protesters have left 1 dead, dozens injured, and more than 100 arrested, 12 of whom have been charged with terrorism. In this context, the university unions and social movements concur with the call by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres to resolve disputes through dialogue and halt the escalation of violence. The Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities urged the Parliament to initiate impeachment proceedings against the Ministers of Defense and the Interior for the violent events that occurred during the national strike. And in this context, in Ecuador, as we mentioned, the social struggle continues. Every day, more citizens reject the policies of Daniel Noboa's government, and new protest groups are even joining the fight. On Wednesday, anti-mining activists announced their full support for the national strike. In this context, our colleague Gabriela Mena tells us more in the following report.
Ecuador has become the scene of multiple protests in all provinces. Citizens, organizations, and unions reject the measures of Daniel Noboa's government. Social organizations emphasize that they will not stop until the executive withdraws the policies that affect the most vulnerable sectors of the country. On Wednesday alone, members of the anti-mining front protested to reiterate their rejection of mining projects.
That is why we have remained firm in the struggle, in the fight for our resistance, and we will not allow the whims of a rich child to punish our lands.
Environmental groups join this day of protests. They argue that the government has been working to promote the reopening of the Castrol Mining Company with a view to benefiting the elites and foreign companies rather than the communities, and the impact that mining has on the health of the community members. Because they are not listening to us within the law, but when we raise our voices, it is the only way for them to hear us. There are only two sides here: those who have power and money, like the government, and us, who have no money, and the only thing we know how to do is raise our voices. Unlike what the government has said, that we are armed, that we are terrorists, we only have our voice, and it is our only weapon.
Tenemos nuestra voz, es nuestra única arma.
El colectivo antiminero presentó a la
The
Corte
anti-mining collective filed an extraordinary protection action with the Constitutional Court in defense of the territory against the advance of the La Plata mining project by the Canadian company, Attico Mining. The document was supported by several citizens who reject the criminalization against them.
que rechazan la criminalización en su contra.
Netamente no necesitamos la minería.
We clearly do not need mining. The only one who needs mining is Daniel Noboa to line his own pockets. That is the only purpose. We are here in a people's struggle. That is the only purpose, 100 peaceful, not like the government labels us as terrorists. As you can see, we bring banners and our only weapon is our voice.
Arma que tenemos es nuestra voz.
Mientras tanto, la capital en sus alrededores luce.
Meanwhile, the capital and its surroundings look like this, blocked and with protesters continuing to demand their right to free speech against Daniel Noboa's measures. Under slogans such as Noboa listen, the people are fighting, and this is resistance, it is not paid for, it is the people organized. Every day more citizens in Ecuador join the marches against the executive.
Más ciudadanos en Ecuador se suman a la marcha contra el Ejecutivo. Gabriela Mena, teleSUR Ecuador.
And after this report, we have a second story coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Fana short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. On Thursday, France faces another day of nationwide protest against budget cuts and the government's austerity measures. The General Confederation of Labour has announced about 240 actions planned throughout France for October 2nd, with marches in numerous cities as well as some rallies at roundabouts or intersections. After their meeting with the new Prime Minister Sebastián Lucerne, the unions consider that the mandatory has failed to meet their expectations and are calling for the abandonment of the entire budget project as well as tax justice. The union also wants the 211 billion euros in public aid granted to companies to be conditional on compliance with social and environmental standards. In Morocco, at least 2 people died amidst anti-government protests that are shaking the country. The incident occurred after the local police in Leclerc opened fire on a group of people who were allegedly attempting to storm a police station. For the 5th day, protests organized by the Gen Z 212 movement filled the streets of Rabat and other cities across the country to demand better education and healthcare systems. The protests are considered the largest in Morocco in years, and despite the lack of permits from the authorities, demonstrations are spreading to several cities. In Bolivia, the Civil Defense Agency reported that the country has seen a drastic reduction in forest fires compared to last year and the last decade, when the fire was used not only for economic purposes but also for political ones. The decrease comes as the right wing wins the elections and will take over the country's government in a few weeks. Our correspondent Freddy Morales gives us the details.
Este año también se han adoptado medidas para...
This year, measures have also been taken to assist wildlife affected by the so-called fire season.
Un equipo del programa de manejo integral de
A
fauna.
team from the Comprehensive Wildlife Program is heading to the affected municipalities of Carmen Ribeiro Torres and Puerto Suarez
Para poder trabajar en la búsqueda,
to work on the search, combing, rescue, and care of wildlife affected by the recent fires throughout the fire scar area.
en toda el área de la cicatriz de fuego.
A diferencia del año pasado, cuando en esta época...
Unlike last year, when the air was unbreathable due to smoke across practically the entire country at this time of year, this year there were no health alerts due to poor air quality.
Obviamente, comparando con la gestión anterior.
Obviously, compared to the previous administration, the difference between last year and this year to date is truly astonishing. Last year, we had more than 4 or 5 million hectares burnt.
Ha sido lamentable todo ese accionar que se ha tenido por varios ciudadanos también, ¿no? Porque
It was regrettable that these actions were carried out by unscrupulous citizens. But now it is not pleasant to report that we have more than 700,000 hectares burnt. It is not pleasant, but compared to last year, the difference is really huge.
es realmente abismal la diferencia que se tiene en la actualidad.
La comparación de la magnitud de los
The
incendios
comparison of the magnitude of the fires with what happened last year, when the historical record was broken, is striking.
Septiembre hasta el 30, estamos cerrando septiembre.
We are ending September with only 76,183 hot spots compared to September last year, which saw 991,903.
Eso significa una disminución considerable de los.
This means a considerable decrease in hot spots and also means that fires have been minimal compared to previous years.
A gestiones anteriores. Podríamos incluso ya.
We could even say that this year the burn scar will be one of the lowest in the last 10 years in the national territory.
De los últimos 10 años en nuestro territorio nacional.
La drástica reducción de incendios forestales
The drastic reduction in forest fires coincides with the retreat of the left, which governed the country for almost 2 decades, and the certain electoral victory of the right, which will take over the government in early November. The government has claimed that the recent large forest fires were, in large part, promoted for political purposes, to complicate and discredit the government's management. Last year, 12.6 million hectares were burned. This year, so far, less than 1 million.
este año hasta ahora, menos de 1 millón. Freddy Morales, teleSUR, Bolivia.
And now we go live to Venezuela, where the balance of the Bolivarian armed forces is taking place. Let's listen.
Número 1, la zona binacional de paz número 1, que comprende los estados Zulia.
Of the states of Zulia,
Y como saben ustedes,
there,
tenemos
as you
un
know,
despliegue
we
previo
have a deployment, a previous
que se le
deployment,
sumó 15.000
that was joined by
efectivos
15,000 officials by instructions of the president to have this binational zone for the development, for the tranquility of the border peoples. We have the deployment of the Guajira in the Sierra of Perijá, and we are also having a deployment in the center here in the Catatumbo of Venezuela, and deployments in the Táchira as well, protecting our borders, ending the armed criminal gangs, narco-traffickers of Colombia, of Colombian origin.
Por eso we have deployed in El Apure to take and watch our rivers. Also we have it in the 15 municipalities in Guárico, criminal gangs that want to reunite it and organize it. This is a constant pressure in Sarase 200 in Guárico. We have been successful. My congratulations to the commander of this operation, Domingo Hernandez. We also have a deployment because they are crossing to this side. Some terrorist groups, narco-traffickers from the ELN and FARC, name and last names. We are in an operation and there is a Guayana commander in front of that operation. And also, after we enter in this difficult territory because of its characteristic geographical and vegetation, we have entered and we have never come out from that state. That operation is FAC Operation 2000. We can't forget all the achievements we have get in this region in narco-traffic material, and we also are doing some operations. I'm telling to the people in Venezuela, it's not only just the weapons, but a logistical just things to give to the native people over there. It's a civic action that we are doing after this military deployment to take care of the people. It's part of the organization of this operation. In the east, we have Sifonte operation, that is to availability of vials. Never we have had so military presence in this area. And Sifonte operation 2000 is operating successfully over here. And another operation that is ongoing right now in the 15 municipality of Sucre State, Humanagoto 200. So all this deployment, in a general way, it is from the military forces through different strategic regions and operational zones. We are going to hear some of the balances here in Ecatatumbo, zone number 1. We have cleaned some camp from the National Liberation Army and the FARC too. They have been disarmed in this region. And also, in the range, I have said that we had an operation to see if there were or not illegal plantations. And certainly, we found 6 hectares of illegal plantations that were destroyed. And they crossed the frontier from Colombia. This operation, it is done twice a year to keep our territory free of illegal plantations. Then, in Venezuela, there are no plantations, not procedures, not laundry, no cartels, no distribution. It is minimal. Short transit that we, with all this deployment that you can see in the map, we stop. How many we have? These drug in this year, more than 60 tons has been seized of illegal drugs in all the national territory. And so in Humanagoto, Zulbarán, Major General, we have destroyed 14 structures, logistical structures of armed groups that are operating in that region without law and anything. And we capture also 2 boats with out-of-board engines, 9,000 liters of fuel, and 12 fire guns. I want the general who said from that theater all outstanding things, all things that people need to know, Humanagoto 200 operation. Go ahead, Major General. Chavez alive. In the framework of this operation, the Bolivarian Army, with all its forces, uniting with the people and the police, in this force, maritime, terrestrial, special forces, military engineering, electronic intelligence, using 60 combat that go through the 15 municipalities of the state in 14 quadrangles. We keep operation together by insertion, amphibious insertion, exploration, aerial and maritime. So we are checking the coast on different areas and zones, control points, among other operational tasks foreseen in this operation. We have had some significant results in function of this maneuver, where we can highlight 14 structures have been destroyed, used by narco-traffic groups, two boats, 9,000 liters of fuel, and 12 fire guns. This operation, Cubanagoto 200, it is together to keep the internal order that represents a very stand operation, to reaffirm and guarantee the integral defense of our country, and to face any group, delinquent group, criminal groups, generators of violence, showing the operational capacity in front of any kind of threat, in or out. And we could see also the union between the police and the people to promote civic education and generate collective consciousness about the protection of our territory, resource, and general, the operation will continue to guarantee peace of Sucre State and the sovereignty, territorial integrity of all its geographic space. Go ahead, General-in-Chief. Yesterday we were talking, all the major staff, all the defense sector, the white major staff, all the commanders in the different regions, operational zones, all the productive sector of the Army, and the educational sector of this Bolivarian Army, making some balances and planifying to the future, a projection to the future, always in the framework of the permanent offensive. Every action that we do right now will avoid, will prevent bigger calamities. All things we can do, I was telling to my comrades, in this framework, Ayacucho framework, ordered by our Commander-in-Chief to change the Bolivarian Army, I repeat, in this framework, it is going on. And I was saying yesterday that it has touched this part of threat from the U.S. imperialism, and this, it helps us to fly and strengthen. This moment we have not another chance. This is our chance, and we have to build it right now. And we have to have our equipment right now. And we have to work with this new organization that we have the cost from now. It means this Ayacucho plan is the dynamic one to think, to change, to relocate, to unite things, to create another units, and to redistribute in the geographical space of Venezuela, according to hypothesis. Then, yesterday we were talking a while, at about 4 hours, very interesting conversations together from the administration, health, people, the well-being of our people, and all so the use of this deployment that we are doing right now. See, I really appreciate Subaran Quintero General due to your report. You have been there 8 days, operating over there with your generals. My grace to all of them. And the task going on. The matrix of this execution, all things that we have to do, we have to accomplish all this inside the territory and on time, so that later the corresponding deployment and redeployed to another areas in the national territory. So we also have listening Soho Rada, commander of the Amazonas zone of operation. We have had some contact with him. He has informed to things that they have been done in that zone. He is at the shore of the river, and he's going to inform all what he has done in the last 6 days. In this operation that was registered because the military presence is over there. So let's listen Leonel Sotorada, General from Amazonas. Go ahead. Chavez alive. From Amazonas Integrated Zone, going through our river, using our sovereignty in the framework of Bolivarian Shield 2025. We are deployed in all the territory. We qualify for integrated by combatants very well trained who are committed with the integral defense of our country and using all our terrestrial means, aerial means to keep this zone. The National Bolivarian Force accomplishing the constitutional order by deploying this operation to detect and eradicate any kind of illegal minery who pretend to operate in this area. We are developing actions according to cautelar measure by the penal trial in this state, keeping the biological diversity, mineral resources. Right now, we are making a positive balance of the result of this operation. During the last 15 days, in the context of this operation, we localize, detect, and destroy 7 camps of illegal minery in Palma and Villanueva, which are very close to a native community in Amazonas state. We localize a big amount of equipment for extracting of aureal minerals, 2,000 liters of gas, 600, 800 liters of diesel that were going to be used in the operation of the means that they have for this illegal minery. 4 vehicles, model, hoses of high pressure, 145 pumps, 2 firearms, 800 meters of pipes, 4 inches, 70 mats used as tamiz, 160 tools to practice this crime, and 80 sacks of polyethylene. We detained 4 citizens practicing these illegal minerals, which are under arrest. General Jefe, we are keeping on the whole mission established, as one of them is to defend our nature as a national priority. We are deployed in all the territory, destroying and kill all these structures that pretend to get our mineral resources without taking into account the damages. We are going to defend our natural spaces for a future generation. Venezuela is a peace territory, free from criminal groups. But Chavez alive. Thank you very much, General. our greets from here, from Caracas, and my congratulations for accomplishing the mission. That task, it is not an easy task. You know, for the environment, operational environment, rivers, and the big extension of all that means the vegetation in that zone. And there are some groups to exploit the illegal miner. Not only we have detected drug in the amounts that we have said, very important ones, but also the mine exploitation and environment exploitation. We have to protect it. Meanwhile, in other places, the armies, mainly the imperial ones, their commanders-in-chief, speak about stop protecting environment and taking care of the climatic change. We in here are defending our Amazon zone. We defend our spaces, for our forests, our parks, from that damaging activity that destroy all the layer in the territory, mainly just in the deep Amazonas. So we are doing that. It's an honor. It is an honorable task. And those groups, mainly the National Liberation Army, that is operating mainly over there, I'm saying don't get wrong. Don't get wrong with us. We will defend our sovereignty, our space, geographical space, to defend it from any intruder. It doesn't matter how big and how very well equipped it is to do the activities. We, the army, on behalf of Bolivar, we have given all instructions from our commander-in-chief. We are in all the territory. So the one that is operating around there, called those groups drugs, terrorists, narco-trafficking from Colombian origin, get out from the Venezuelan territory. This is not your land. Get out to go another place, not in Venezuela. In here, we take care of the environment. We don't want violence. So that all these parks are reservations that we have to take care from the north in Zulia, all Chapacana, La Neblina, all of those are reservations that we have to take care of. It is a long part of the lung of the world. So that my greetings to all of you with love. And now I want to, without preamble, Rubén Bersar Escobar, General Major, that is in Perijá's range. As I was saying, we did a very big operation, anti-narcotic, to eradicate plantations. And I want him to explain what has been done and what has he found and what has to be done. Chávez alive, my commander. From Zulia zone, in Perijá range, in the framework of this peace operation, we, the Bolivarian Army, integrated by combatants highly trained, committed with keeping and defending our peace using aerial and terrestrial means and used to detect, destroy any kind of plantation or means promoted for these people in this zone of this national territory that is under a special administration. The Venezuelan Bolivarian Army, on the article number 3 of the Constitution of this country, for 30 days, patrol all the zone in a mountainous area and with forest vegetation, 162 kilometers, and a height from 1,900 meters to 3,000. We got the following results, operational results. Destroy 6 hectares planted with marijuana, masked with beans and other species. Destroy 1,500 kilograms of marijuana. To destroy 8 tankol camps from the ELN with logistic capacity to sustain 90 effectives. It is very important to say that there was no existence of path to those camps. What says that the life is coming from Colombia. My commander, Venezuela is a free of endemic plantation of coca or marijuana. Venezuela is a peace territory and will keep on going sovereign and free. Chávez alive. To the victory forever. We will win. Well, thank you very much, General Major. You have been many days in that zone with permanent communication. Mission accomplished. Venezuela is free from illegal plantation, as reports from the United Nations are saying. So from organizations that study this topic, Venezuela is free from illegal plantations. There is no plantations in Venezuela. When there are some, we find them and we destroy it. And Venezuela is still a free territory from illegal plantation. It is to be here in the world because they want to create. The production is in another places. The processing is in another place. Distribution is to another place. Cartels are in another places, but they all are accused in Venezuela. Then Venezuela is said it is free from this kind of plantation, processing, and the few traffic that we are having, the few, very dim one, it is not determinant. It is not important. It is not a country with any kind of narco-traffic characteristic. Then we are taking care that this not to go to grow. We know this kind of plantation, cocaine, are in Colombia in its majority, in Peru, and 8% of all this production, global production, it is in Bolivia of coca. Venezuela, it is a free territory of production of these illegal drugs. Then, my congratulations for your work, and it's time to come back. Mission accomplished. I really congratulate you and all your team and all the companies that have participated in this deployment. I want to give meaning to the SUNAT under the direction of Ferrer Andrea General, the police that have participated with us too. We have made a very big team. And then I go together with you, and my congratulations for this triumph, this very successful operation that you have just finished. I have to give my recognition to the military troops from Colombia, Pedro Sanchez, the general, because of the communication that we have had with the leaders for all these things to be possible. You don't know than speaking, communicating, how easy the way is. So, to get the objectives. Which are those goals? This frontier to be a peace zone, tranquility zone, zero violence, and it becomes a productive, economically, of development binational. There is a series of new programs that we are having there. There is another proposal for our peoples. And I really appreciate all the military forces to keep in contact with our leaders, and you have seen the results, and we are seeing the results of the military forces and the police from Colombia are giving in their territory. It is a very long fight. They have a lot of experience, and they are showing it right now with a very well formed under the government of Gustavo Petro. My Bolivarian greets to all military and policemen from Colombia, from here, from Venezuela. Let's go together in the way to keep peace, integrity, our national independence from both countries, brother countries, brother republics, funded by Bolivar. So now, let's have a communication with Javier Enriquez Magallanes, General and Commander from Zulia Zone. He's there in the middle of the Catacumbo, where Relámpago Operation just was born. He wants to show the results of the last days because it is a topic of all days. This is a permanent deployment. It is not for just now. It is a permanent one, ordered by our Commander-in-Chief. So I want to listen from his voice, Javier Hernández Magallanes, the results in that territory, in Catatumbo operation. As a part of all what we are doing in this binational zone. Go ahead, my general. Chávez alive, my general-in-chief. We are Catatumbo municipality, joined with the people and police in the framework of this binational zone of peace number 1. I'm going to give you a report of the result in this way by our labors in watching. We have found an illegal camp belong to FARC close to the borders, 8 degrees 53 minutes 39 seconds north, 72 degrees 40 minutes 32 seconds west, where we seized 86 funnels of cocaine, guns, 2 grenades, ammunition, 132 electric detonators, 142 no-electric detonators, 3 radios, 1 tape recorder, 2 vests. The presence of these groups that are trying to establish over there in our territory violate the norms of green areas, protected green areas, being a threat, constant threat for our biodiversity and for the communities that live in this zone. The same way, in the coordinates 8 degrees, 45 minutes, 47 seconds, 72 degrees, 22 minutes, 15 seconds west, we detected another camp built from the ELN, where we get 150 marijuana package, 3 shotguns, powder, a gun, bullets. In our territory, we have kept constant operations against this kind of groups, irregular groups, that are trying to get masked inside the vegetation of these zones to get protect against our patrols. With recognizing of routes, areas, and zones, we have located and destroyed these camps, which are linked to different activities, illegal activities, following the given instruction to minimize any impact in the our national territory could never be given away, nor rented, or in no way to foreign states. In Venezuela, we do not plant, we do not produce, we do not grow drugs. Our territory is free from any kind of plantation. Venezuela is to be respected. It is a peace territory. Independence, freedom, or nothing. That is our slogan. Well, my best regards to Commander-in-Chief Nicolas Maduro, to all these soldiers that are deployed in the national territory. You can see Venezuelan people, how do we take care of their constitutional mission. That is to guarantee the national independence or nothing. That is to guarantee our national sovereignty and to preserve the integrity of our territory. That's the biggest mission that we have. For the Constitution, we are committed with this compromise. In the good or in the bad, something it is going to the Lord, that is the spirit and disposition that we have to go and face the problems and to accomplish the mission without any kind of excuses. We have no excuses not to accomplish this mission. We are ready, and every day we have more power to face any kind of threat. All this violent group that cross through the border from Colombia, and they pretend to eradicate in our territory. All of them are dealing with drugs. There is no line ideological to characterize a group. No, there is no. All that is gone, and there are groups that are dedicated to narco traffic. So in Venezuela, they're going to have a very hard answer. All these kind of groups that want to have home here in Venezuela and trafficking any kind of psychotropic substances, drugs, etc. If they want or not have to cause trouble in the population, we are not going to allow it. The frontiers are peace territories, and our army, it is deployed with 36,000 militaries right now. When I did a check of all the units that we have deployed, there are 36 effective right now. Of course, this change according to the amount of fronts that we have to keep. And I say always to the imperialists, so you have to check, see very well your actions, think very well your decisions. That those that academics call calculation errors, this emerging multipolarity, they could be very bad because the planet could be in a third world war. That our commander said that it is ongoing, because effectively there are regions that are full of conventional conflicts, go to genocide, and goes to aerial strikes to kill kids, to kill cultures, to cut heads of regimes. Then you have to take into account, you have to remember, brothers, that error calculation in 1815 from Spain, when they thought that with their characteristics, the army they had that was coming from very huge victories in Europe, we could submit Bolivar and end with the independence revolution. And you know how was the end. They believed at that time, the North American imperialism, that it could have a victory against Sandino's armies in Nicaragua. Big mistake. They had the Third Reich, a big calculation error when they started Red Bird operation against the Soviet Union. Very big mistake in Vietnam also. And how many calculation errors they have done. 2002, they pretended to overthrow Chavez, our commander, supreme commander, the get Guran. Something was missing in the equation. Small mistake, the people and the army. Small error of calculation. Then, under our commander-in-chief, Nicolas Maduro, they're trying here, supported by the U.S. imperialism and other European countries, a map in here, another mistake, another calculation mistake. And well, I'm saying right now, when it is born, it's being born a new word, multipolar word, of some heavyweights, I say, don't make another calculation mistake when you decide to an aggression against the Venezuelan people. Do not commit that mistake. Think it well, think it twice, investigate very well, and read the national spirit. Read the national spirit. I have seen over there, and we have dictated with our aerial system inside Maiquetía, in Maiquetía region, more than 5 vectors. We have detected them. 5 vectors with 400 nude characteristics. What does that indicate? Dear Venezuelan people, they are combat planes. They are combat planes that they have there to get close to our coasts. That was inclusive. Checked and verified, but an international airline. The airline reported that have seen the presence of some planes, combat planes, here in the close Caribbean. Then we are asking to Latin America. I ask into the Caribbean. We have never seen this kind of plane deployment that we know that they are in Puerto Rico. F-35. We know the deployment they have. But to dare to get close to the Venezuelan territory, we are seeing, we are watching. And I want you to know that we are not afraid of it. We are not afraid of it. That's not an intimidation for our people. So the presence of those vectors, from those planes, flying close to our influence area in our Caribbean Sea, that's a provocation. That is a threat against the security of the nation. It is a big threat. So I am saying the word, this kind of harassment, military harassment of the U.S. government over Venezuelan people. That what we want is to work and live in peace, happiness. I am denouncing to the world this situation that I repeat, it is a provocation and a threat to our national security. So that orders are given by our commander-in-chief, and we have to accomplish, and we have to remember that our commander-in-chief also subscribed an exception state. I'm telling to the people of Venezuela, they are 4 exception states. One is the alert when it is catastrophe, calamities, or another kind of things that endanger our national security. The economical state that is going on. Remember 2016, when our commander-in-chief, speaking with the National Assembly in that time, spoke about to set into practice an exception state, economic emergency, because due to the situation that we were living in the countries. And the National Assembly at that time said no. Till at the end, for another ways, they made it, they decreed it. Interior and commotion interior, because due to any internal situation that threaten the security of the nation, and the external state, that is the one that our president has subscribed and he has signed, and he's following all constitutional steps. You know, in case of this country is agreed, all the national potential is in the government, and it's going to take to a general mobilization according to how big the aggression is. All these kind of instruments, legal instruments established in our jurisdiction, are there as tool. What have done our commander-in-chief? He has done something according to the national strategic to defend our nation, that is benefit for all the Venezuelan people, to protect our interest, economical life, etc. That's why we have the exceptional states. Never in revolution we have had any kind of exception state to agree the people. So what we are living, they have the armies as occupation organs against the people. In cities, they see the cities as training sites. The cities. What a barbarity. What barbarians. Here, the exception state that we have applied are to protect the people, not to go against the people. And that is the strength of Nicolás Maduro to keep on preserving peace, to keep on taking care of the country, and to build a glorious future of independence and sovereignty. So, we are saying goodbye from this aerial base, Francisco de Miranda, to all our brothers and sisters of Venezuelan people. And soon, we are going to have new activities to do it in union, police, people, and army. Chavez alive, till the victory forever.
We were live to Venezuela, witnessing the balance of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, where Minister of Defense Vladimir Padrino referred to the success in the military operatives underway to face narco-trafficking and criminal gangs in the border territories of the country, especially in the binational zone that is shared with Colombia. The minister reiterated that Venezuela is free from cartels, from crops and production of drugs. With this information, this very breaking news, we have come end of this news. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.